Hey guys, how you doing? Dan here from the Average Dan Show, Foster the People. Today, Jonas and I are going to talk about some really topics you guys need to get involved in. Hey, remember, subscribe, like, do whatever you have to get involved here. Jonas, you and I were talking, brother, about Epstein. Come on, man. Is he guilty? Is he not guilty? Is it
Well,
true?
no,
There's no doubt.
there's no doubt that he is guilty. The verdict was already handed down, not just to him, but to Maxwell also. The crazy thing is that they're now trying to insult our intelligence so highly by saying that there was no such thing. So why is Ghislaine Maxwell in prison?
Yeah, exactly. She's got 20
Why
years,
were
too.
we talking a couple months ago about tens of thousands of videos that were retrieved that Pam Bondi was going through on her desk and how it had stuff to do with little kids and da-da-da-da. And now there's nothing.
It changed up.
I'll tell you what. I watched the interview with Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, and when they were sitting there and being asked about it, and they're vehemently, I know this was suicide. And literally like somebody had their hand up their back like a puppeteer saying, "You're going to say what we told you to say. If you don't, shit's going to hit the fan." And I believe that the revelations that would be divulged if all of a sudden we knew that famous picture of Bill Clinton in the blue dress that everyone has seen, like, can you imagine there's video of Bill Clinton having sex with 3 14-year-old girls? Now, if that video exists, I'm not saying it does. But the thing is these are the types of things that you're talking about. And when you look into things like the secret societies, the Freemasons, the Skull and Bones, they're not just talking about having sex with little kids. They're talking about child sacrifice.
Yeah, well,
These people, we're not dealing with people that really recognize us all as a human family. They recognize themselves as the orchestrators of the existence that we're all experiencing.
Tools.
Yes, these people are evil personified. And if all of a sudden you're Dan Bongino, and I watch Dan Bongino a ton, man, the guy has super huge cojones. I watched his show. To see the drastic change in his whole overall demeanor when he had to sit there and say there is no Epstein list, when a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, he's on his show constantly talking about it, and now all of a sudden,
why do you think the change of heart, man? Who are they trying to cover up for? Who are they trying to protect? Who are they trying to keep from getting thrown underneath the bus?
Man, I could not possibly venture to guess.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, you could have everything from finding out that aliens truly do run our entire existence. And could you imagine?
Well, Elon Musk is definitely an alien, right?
I'm not saying.
I've had people say, "Oh yeah, Elon Musk is definitely an alien. How can he be that smart? How can he know all this stuff?" I mean, come on.
I mean, we don't. The thing is I don't know anything about Elon Musk except for what I've seen on TV and other people have told me about him.
Well, I mean, you have to admit, okay, the man does have ways of making things happen that most people don't. Okay, I mean, how come? Let's just talk about SpaceX and NASA.
Mm-hmm.
NASA's been around for what, 70 years, maybe more, 80 years, I don't know, but it's been around for that long a time. And all of a sudden, SpaceX comes around, and next thing you know, they're retrieving astronauts off the freaking, the what do you call it? Not satellite, but what the hell you call it? The space freaking station that they're out at, man. Because we couldn't retrieve them. NASA couldn't retrieve them. Now, why is that? Come on.
Well, listen, this is another one of those situations where you're taking the mainstream story at face value. There's a lot of people out there that don't believe that NASA has been doing any of the things that it says it's been doing. It's basically just a space production company.
Yeah, somebody told me when I was up in Georgia, black gentleman told me when I was sitting at the bar having something to eat, told me, that scene where they were on the moon, that's a complete lie, man. They weren't on the moon. If you look at it,
it doesn't look real to me.
And I'm going, I really haven't studied enough, but
Right. I can't 100% say that they weren't there, and I can't say 100% that they were there, but I know that the video and the information that I've seen, it seems more likely that they weren't there.
Well,
They're all, yeah. I'm not the only person in the world that you have to at least be able to entertain the idea that you might not know anything.
well, all right. Let's keep going on the subject of what's happening in our environment right now. I'm also baffled big time on the Texas flood, man. I mean, dude, come on. You hear 20 inches of rain, next thing you know, you got 30 feet of water and 160 people are dead. And it's just ironically enough, I mean, I'm sort of, we briefly spoke earlier about the global warming thing. We've been having a lot of crap go down since COVID's been around, between flooding and hurricanes and storms. I mean, think about North Carolina, areas that's never been blasted before. Okay? Think about Texas now, it's never been blasted. Where they're having these, well, even our area right here in Pinellas County. Now, granted, okay, we've had close chances, with close calls, I should say. But it seems like we're having a lot of these in the fires. In California.
Well,
Come on, man.
And once again, this might get classified as conspiracy theorist again, but when you look at each one of those situations, and you look at the natural resources there and the things that are being published that people want to do, they all look like land grabs. They all look intentional.
Sure.
And now you have weather modification companies. Now, 40 years ago, when I was talking about weather modification, people would say, you're a conspiracy theorist. There's no such thing. Now, you actually have the CEO of the company admitting that they were seeding the clouds in Texas up until the day before the deluge. So, and then they come out and say, yeah, but it had nothing to do with what ended up happening. Now that at that point becomes an insult to your intelligence. I want a real explanation, not you just telling me that, oh, that means that we didn't have anything to do with it.
Well, I mean, look at the Democrats was freaking accusing Trump of not planning for this, getting rid of people out of office that couldn't keep their eye on these events taking place. Come on, man. Who in the hell is going to be able to blame anybody on something like that? Now, if it was man-made to take land purchase
That's what I'm saying.
Acquire land.
I believe that was. I definitely believe that North Carolina was. And the fires in California and the fires in Maui.
I mean, I don't know. Like, listen, okay, California, man, come on. Do you think these multi-million-dollar houses, they're going to come back? They're going to rebuild.
Well, they don't want to rebuild. They want to build a 15-minute city there. They said that what they want to do with the Pacific Palisades is they want to make it into a 15-minute city. And if you haven't looked into a 15-minute city, the United Nations, when they started talking about how do we sustain our environment, what do we need to do? They're like, well, we need to have a smaller carbon footprint, and this is how we'll do it. We'll build these cities where you live in them. And anything that you could possibly want is within 15 minutes of you.
Well, I would believe that 100%, but let's be honest. Let's go back to housing market, okay? I just noticed recently that you see on the news all the time, oh, the housing market's horrible. Young people can't buy houses. Young people can't get this. And the housing market's going to crash, okay? So what? You want to move into an environment that's $1 million homes? Who's the average person going to live there? So, you know,
if they keep devaluing the dollar, everybody will be a millionaire.
Well, I give you from that perspective, but then I go look at, okay, let's be honest about it. Everybody, going back to housing, everybody needs a place to live. And I think what it comes down to is we need to teach people about finances. We need to teach people on how to look for housing, how to find deals, how to determine needs and wants. Everybody wants something, but what it is, they don't understand. They need to have this. You need to, like I said, we need to have happiness. We need to have freedom. We need to have water. We need to have health.
Right. The basics should be easy to provide.
Wow.
And you know, I understand that in our current debt-based culture, you really do need to know finance in order to do all of those things. But honestly, if we revert it back to an actual free market, the prices of everything, you would have no such thing as $1 million house because it would be what somebody else could afford to pay you for it without going to the bank and asking for a loan.
Well, I completely give you on that one, but like I said, I go back to also the aspect that there'd be even more people that are poor because they don't have a common sense how to trade. All right, and let's be honest. Let's just look at Trump, for example. How much money has he brought into this country in 10 months or whatever time he's 7, 8 months he's been here? Billions and billions of dollars because of tariffs, because of the big, beautiful bill. I don't like that name, but okay, that's supposed to be helping out quite a few people. Social Security for 65 and up. But granted, now I don't know enough about it, but I was speaking with my dad just the other night. He was saying there's only a limit to how many people, how much money you make. Depends on how you get. But let's be honest about it. If you could give out billions of dollars to the average Joe below here, that's the main purpose. I mean, there hasn't been one, I would say, president or government organization we've had in decades that have been able to give back like he has, okay? And I just feel like our problem has always been we didn't have a financial leader. We had a politician leader that was pushing our society to, hey, vote for me, I'll give you this, vote for me. Now it's supposed to be, hey, we all want to be somewhat created equal. Some of us are more driven than others are. Some are more smarter than other ones are. But ultimately, you always have an opportunity to do something better if you try. If you try to improve yourself. And I think, as you've seen before, the politicians have come in here and dictated most of our lives for the last 50 years or so.
Well, that's the thing is, it's, first off, I don't, all of the details of the big, beautiful bill I don't know. But I do know that they're giving out money. That means that they have to take in money. So, and that means that they're taking money from the Federal Reserve in order to finance what they need to do over here because it's not coming from taxes. Your taxes are just going to pay the interest on the national debt, which we owe to the Federal Reserve. So you have this big beautiful bill that needs to be financed, and that's all going to come through Federal Reserve printing of money.
Well, tariffs.
Tariffs are going to take a piece of it.
Well,
but then what they're doing is then pushing it to the population in a way that helps or sustains their lives.
Yeah, well, it also stimulates the economy because if you got more money in your pocket, more than likely you're going to be going out and spending more.
I understand. But it's also the biggest thing and the biggest reason why they do it is because it's about building dependency of the population on the government aid. Because and the thing is if we're going to, I did a 4th of July episode, if you're really going to celebrate or declare your freedom and independence, it means you have to break your dependencies.
True.
And the government deals, like you go to Social Security, you go to all of it. Right. The whole idea was give us this and we'll take care of you. No. Instead, you have to reverse that in your mind as an empowered person. Is you have to say, I'll take care of me. You stay away. I don't need your help. And if everybody kind of adopts more of that mindset, we can start seizing the reins of power instead of allowing them to dictate to us what we need to do to support their kleptocracy, because that's what it is. It is a huge kleptocracy. Corruption is built right into the system. The bureaucracies run everything, not the individuals.
Well, I completely agree with you on that philosophy. However, let's be honest, we've been doing this for 200 years, our cycle, and to have people change is going to be, I think, like having a meteor come down and wipe out this land.
A lot of people do come to that conclusion.
I feel like right now, because of what Trump has done in the last, like I said, 7 to 8 months, he has taken to a whole different light, which is really going to help the middle class people. Now, will the middle class people do the right thing and understand how to take those finances and do so? Too many people save money. That's what they do. They go buy new cars. They go on vacations. They go, come on, man. You know, I understand, hey, it's your money. You do what you want to do. But the problem is the average person doesn't build for the future. They don't plan for the future.
Right.
They live in a moment of like a dog or an animal that lives only for the moment.
Oh, God.
They don't plan what's going to happen 5 years now. They don't plan for when they're 70 years age old they have to go to a nursing home. They're living for just today. I want my cup of coffee. I want to, go to the movies. I want that new T-shirt. I mean, think about it.
Oh yeah.
Look at our delivery service, the Amazons. How many people don't even go out? They just go on their computers and the shit's delivered right to them. And the thing about it is I feel like society is based upon, and I don't want to blame it on the government, on laziness. It's nothing but plain old laziness because, somebody will do it for me. Somebody can do this. I ain't got to work any harder. I don't have to study. I got my cell phone in front of me. I have my computer in it. Hell, when you and I were growing up, you didn't have the cell phone. You didn't have this. You had to literally pick up a book and read.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Our thing.
I mean, I just feel like we're creating lazy environments. Fatter, lazy environment of people that don't want to do anything suffer. Don't get me involved. Don't get me involved. As long as my life is good, I'm in my little bubble. That's it. But then we go the opposite way. We got all these freaking Democrats that are just rebelling against making things better for the country. Rebelling. They're fighting every single tooth and nail that we're doing. Why didn't the Clintons, why didn't the Nixons come up with tariffs and do the shit 40, 50, 60 years ago? Why the hell are we paying so much for China and freaking all these foreign countries, all these extra funds when we shouldn't be? We're the kings of the freaking world.
But that's only possible because we allow deficit spending.
Well, because
if there is no such thing as deficit spending, it doesn't matter.
That is true.
And this comes back to my whole fundamental principle. It's not about who's in office. It's about whether or not the office should exist. Yeah, because if you give that much power to an office, they have the ability to give and they have the ability to take away.
Yep.
So it's like we need to take personal responsibility for the world.
Accountability.
And, we talk about legacy of quite a bit, and we talk about leaving financial legacy and this and that. The ultimate legacy that I myself want to leave is I want to leave a better world. And in my opinion, the number one thing that needs to happen in this world that's built on fear, distrust, and a centralized power structure dictating to everybody else what it needs to be done is I would like to help free humanity and do something where instead of it being centrally controlled, it's decentralized. And I hate certain sayings like, well, we can't do that because other people won't do this or other people won't do that. Well, are we raising people? Are we raising ourselves? Are we demanding of ourselves to be more so that then we can be at least an example so that somebody else could follow it?
But see, I think I see where you're going at, but okay, let's go back to the 1800s. Mm-hmm. We all had guns. Mm-hmm. If I didn't like you, I'd shoot your ass. Okay? If you robbed my freaking tomato planter, my freaking horse, I'd shoot your ass. So somebody had to come in. They had to have a sheriff come in because there was too many people thinking they had control over the freaking environment. Well, what happens? It goes from the sheriff now to the freaking governor, to the freaking senator, to the freaking president. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And it's because people don't know how to be accountable. People don't know how to create an environment that's not only for them.
Right.
It's for everybody. When we drive down the street, there's rules that you have to follow because too many people violated them. Too many people are out here doing 100 miles an hour because they felt like it's their freaking road. Then they have accidents. People are dying. Oh, we wait till somebody dies and then we finally decide to do something about it.
But is writing a law the answer to that?
Well, you can't basically stage it that way. Let's go to the next subject that I wanted to talk about personally, man, and it's communication, or I should say relationships, Jonas. We talked a little bit about this last time, and I've struggled now since our last meeting on communicating with future employees, mm-hmm. All right? And I feel like the industry out there for job interviewers doesn't even have a clue. They don't know how to do a resume. They don't even know how to show up for an interview. I had my VP call me and tell me that She had a guy that had scheduled for 1:30, decided to come in at 10:30, stayed until 1 o'clock. She got him an interview. The guy smelled like crap, looked like crap, was picking his nose. And I'm like, listen, you making this stuff? She says, no, I swear to you.
How old?
31. All right? And I mean, come on. Then we hear, oh, the job market's going down. And then we hear, oh, well, AI's taking it over. And we heard all this crap. And once again, I go back to what we just recently said, accountability. You know, but to me, like I said, I'm going back to relationships, okay? You and I have built a relationship, okay? And we built it out of communication, trust, honesty, fairness, okay? And I just feel like somehow down the road here, that I've noticed in my life in the last, I don't know, decade or more, people have just like, my words or no, their words don't mean shit. And I've been preaching to so many people just in the last week, hey, look it, words don't mean shit, it's your actions. In other words, actions speak louder than words. All right? And like I said, going back to the interviews, because like I said, I must have gone through at least 200 resumes in the last couple of weeks. And what kills me is that you want to put it all down to make yourself look pretty, but you can't even get in front of somebody to communicate how you really are.
Well, I mean, I don't know. The reason why I asked you how old he was is because at 31 and thinking like 10 years ago, you were 21. You know, I've noticed, you know, even with my own kids, there's a certain amount of lost social skills.
Big time.
And a lot of it has to do with the devices and the screen time. And the fact that you are able to have a digital relationship with somebody that you never actually meet face to face.
Yeah.
And it could cause, I've seen it cause anxiety in certain people to even go talk to somebody else.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, but
So you have to, once again, that comes back to what we were talking about with the engaged parent. Like, if you recognize these signs inside of your kids, you got to help walk them through that, because you know, you take the kids that went through the lockdowns in 2020 at different various ages, and one of the saddest things for me during that whole thing was because I refused to wear a mask when everybody else was. Yeah. I went into Publix, and I was going in real fast. It was in the morning, and I was going to the frozen food section, and there were people in their masks, and there was a little girl, maybe I would say she had to be 5 or 6 years old, and I walked past her, and I felt her staring at me. And then as I passed her, I heard her say to her dad, "That guy doesn't have a mask on, Dad." And I was like, oh my God, this poor little girl is afraid of other people that don't have a mask on. And at that age, that implant creates a feeling of disconnection from your fellow human at that age. And at that age, there shouldn't be any disconnections from your fellow human.
Well, but once again,
so the psychological effects of something like that, we're just now getting to know people that are dealing with any type of mental health issues because of that.
Well, I mean, look at that. Speaking about the mask thing, did you hear the thing about ICE? They're saying now that they want ICE to take off their mask, all right, before they arrest anybody. And to me, ICE is one of the people they're trying to take out. The freaking, what do you want to call it? What word am I looking for? They have literally made attacks on ICE people, you know, ICE employees, all right? And that's why they wear the mask so they don't see who they are. Now, granted, you can see their eyes, and, you know, realistically, unless you get a full mask, but the Democrats are saying that's a violation of their rights. They're saying when people go out there and they're, God, I'm thinking of the word here. When they're standing up and they're fighting their rights, they're wearing masks, then they're demanding they can't do that when they protest. All right? I think, hey, if I want to wear a damn mask, you should be able to wear a mask. All right? But now, granted, if I see someone with a mask on now in a bank, I'm going to start thinking it's robbing the bank. Or if we're walking down the public now and I see somebody with a mask, I'm thinking, ooh. you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sort of going back to the old style of that. And once again, I feel like it goes back to relationships and communicating, okay? And let's be honest about it. Half of the things we have in this world right now, with all the stuff with Russia and Afghanistan and Iran and all of them, why are we always at war? It's because of proper communication. I mean, it seems like Trump can sit down and communicate with people, and then all of a sudden they're good for a week, and all of a sudden they're blowing each other up again.
Well, I mean, war war is big business, and perpetual war is perpetual big business. And when you get down to how wars are fought and how they're financed, and you realize that the same entities are financing both sides of every conflict, you start realizing, oh, these are all just instigated conflicts in order to create more servitude on both sides.
It really is.
That's all it is.
But then you think about it, okay, I'm going up and I'm blowing up your freaking world. Who the hell's going to have to start rebuilding that stuff?
That's how they
To me, I look at it, you don't take pride in anything you have. You don't take pride in yourself just because I'm going to send a missile over to freaking get your land. You don't give a crap about people.
No.
You don't give a crap about the environment. You don't give a crap. And once again, to me, that's a selfish, poor accountability skills. And I feel like anybody who's going to be able to think that's right needs to be taken out.
Well, the thing is it's psychopathic. Because it's greed for money and power, depending on where you're at in the tier of the pyramid.
Right.
You're doing that for greed of either money or power. If you're lower level, you're going for money. If you're at the top level, you're going for more power.
Right.
That's all it is. And this is why I honestly believe that one of the most honorable things that you can do once you realize that, and realize that it's the only thing that keeps that battle going is soldiers willing to sign up for that battle.
But why? Why would we want to if we're risking our lives, man?
You shouldn't want to, especially once you find out that you can go back through history. None of the wars that were ever fought were fought for the real reasons that people were told they were fighting.
And it
was
goes
always
back to,
something else.
Yeah.
Like you go,
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
And it goes back to, like I said, I tell you it's red, you tell me it's blue, we tell each other screw off, and we're gonna make it happen. And it's, I don't know. Like I said, I struggle with this one for decades now, trying to communicate with people more effectively. Granted, I am not anywhere near where I want to be, but I see where this relationships with wives or girlfriends, boyfriends, even interfamily relationships, there's a breakdown. How about that poor kid that set that fire for those firefighters and then shot them? Don't suppose he killed himself.
Yes.
Now, a 20-year-old who's communicating that this is somewhat acceptable.
I don't know enough
Where's
about
the
that.
parents at? Where is the family at? Where's the teachers? Where is his friends? Nobody. I mean,
Well,
come on.
That brings me to another supposed crazy kid, and the kid that they say shot Trump in Butler, PA.
Yeah.
Listen, there is no way in hell that kid went across that field with a rifle, climbed up onto a building that was low level, and anybody from high view could see. People saw him going there, and then he was able to fire off those shots. There's no way. If you're not aware of what a handler is, either an FBI or a CIA handler, an intelligence handler, when they take an asset, like that kid is an asset, they gave him access to that. There's no doubt about it.
But why? I mean, what did they gain by that? They didn't even kill Trump. What about killing the firefighters? What did they gain by killing those firefighters?
I don't know about that one.
That one's completely out.
Well, and because I haven't looked into that one enough. That's why I'm taking the Butler thing, because there's multiple things were gained from the botched assassination attempt of Trump. Number one, biggest thing is a lot of people who were huge Trump supporters and already felt like he was the answer that they needed. those people now, a lot of them, I have talked to multiple people that have said to me that it is obvious in their opinion that God is watching out for Donald Trump because he survived that assassination attempt. That is a huge psychological operation at that particular point. If somebody is spouting those words based upon what happened in that event.
But now the other question is, did he really get shot?
I have my skepticism on it.
I mean,
When I saw it,
you could have seen him jump down, had something in his hand, fricker behind his
don't
ear,
even need to.
squished it, made it look like blood, and freaking taken off.
Yes.
Put a Band-Aid on it for
It
a
did
week.
not look real at all to me.
I mean, to be that close.
Well, and the other thing is that means that he's in on it.
Could have been. It could have been his publicity stunt.
You could do it a different way
But
too.
another thing how about the guy that got killed? The ex-fire chief did.
But listen, when they brought down the Twin Towers, they were totally willing to kill 3,000 Americans.
Yeah.
You know that's
Yeah,
just
but that was
adding
like
to their
Afghanistan.
narrative.
That wasn't even freaking American young kid.
Well, you have to make it look more real for people, and you have to add some sort of tragedy to it in order for it to have the emotional effect on the population. You have to, if you're putting out a narrative into the public through the media, it has to emotionally affect the audience.
Well, I completely agree with it. But like I said, I focus in on, how can I say it, with this topic of relationships. I feel like most of our communication skills with each other, with employees, how can I say it, needs to be tweaked so it's a lot better.
Well, that's the thing.
We're on the internet. I mean, you could go out to any restaurant and you'll see people sitting. Everybody's on their damn phone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or hey, I've talked to people. Hey, my kid was upstairs and he texts me to get him something to drink.
Oh God, yeah.
I'm like, are you serious?
Oh God, yeah.
Are you freaking serious?
Oh yeah.
I was like, ma'am, you should have just not even responded to that. You should have made, and I could see if your kid was handicapped or, you know, locked up in a bed or something, had a reason why he couldn't. But otherwise, I was, all right, come on down here. Here's your drink. Give me that phone. Now that phone's getting taken away for a day or so.
Well, yeah, with the kids, you have to do that with kids.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, but I mean, I've been in the driveway in my car and my wife in the driveway in her car and texted each other.
Well,
Like, what the hell is wrong with us right now?
yeah, but you know, sometimes I can see that, you know, like we're driving down the road and I'm like, did you remember to get that call? Did you remember, you know, like you can't roll up beside them and go, hey, did you know? And so I can see both sides. But still, you're not supposed to be texting and rolling.
Oh yeah. Well, and it makes me kind of thirst for a simpler time. Like I go back in my head, I'm old enough that I remember that when they didn't even have answering machines, if you called and nobody answered, there was just nobody answered. And nobody knew you called. You had no idea until
Come on, don't show your
until
age
they
now,
caught
man.
you.
You had to wait till the freaking hummingbird
Yeah,
came
but
by
now,
and dropped it.
but as nice as it is to have these devices where we can instantly communicate, it creates a whole bigger set of demands upon each of us to
does.
respond to it
Yes,
all
yes,
immediately.
yeah.
If you wait too long, somebody might get offended. How do I respond to this? And then
Well,
with text,
there's-
it's even more fun.
That's a key communication skill right there too. How many times have we actually text something and the other person interpreted something different?
That was exactly what I was about to say, because I can write something and you can read it with a completely different inflection than how I meant it.
Exactly. You know, and that's what I'm saying. All right. How can I say this? I struggle with this last week on finding key employees. Now, Jonas, what do you think if you're looking for a job? What skill traits should you have to make that interview session as powerful as it could be?
Well, there's all kinds of different advice that I've taken in from different people. I really believe that if you go in with the mindset that you want to know as much as you possibly can about what the potential employer wants from you. So you almost want to kind of open up the floor to the employer to give you all of the information before you start saying, oh, I'm this and I can do that and I can do this and I can do that. No, wait a second. And if you're being honest with yourself as you're listening, you might find out that after the guy's talking to you that you don't really want this job. Be honest with yourself. You're like, oh, you know what? I'm not really interested in that job. Don't go into a job ever desperate.
Well, I think the other thing that I've noticed, okay, a lot of people don't do their due diligence. If I was going to go work for your company, I would do a little bit of due diligence, looking your company up, see what your company sells, see what your company does. How long has your company been around? What is the image that I'm portraying from the website or from whatever you're getting? Because maybe you applied for this job, as you said, with something that your concept is completely different. That way it builds you up questions, so when you're going there, you're going to ask questions that's going to sort of reflect upon your skill set and what they want. Because let's be honest about it. Me as the employer looking at you, I want to feel something warm and fuzzy about you that I want to hire you. And if you come in with a low key or not very interested or don't have an incentive to build up our team, there's really no incentive there. And it's like, that's why when I do my stuff now, when I put my ads up and I have them call me. But I mean, first way I respond to them through email, all right? And then I ask them a few questions just to see what their responses are. Because you can see sometimes with responses, it's like, oh, well, you're over here. How much do you start off paying? Okay, they're good questions, but you're already questioning me on money, not even asking about the job. So then it sort of gives me another step to go, okay, do I ever want to waste my time with interviewing this person? But when you come in for an interview, I think you should be, depending on the job, properly dressed, properly prepared, not smelling bad, not looking bad, and have a something that's going to sell yourself. A resume.
Yeah, I don't. You have to have done your work yourself. You have to be comfortable being your authentic self. If you're bringing any sort of fakeness or posturing to the situation, it's not going to work.
Amen.
And then it brings me to another issue, like I was saying, with the younger people right now, is how many of them even know who their authentic self is if they've been doing this online persona, because that's the thing, that's the difference. Your online presence is your persona. When this video gets edited and put out, there's a persona that I'm being my authentic self. Right. But that public image is a persona that I can choose to try and upkeep or discard.
I mean, I give you that. All right, guys. Hey, look at. I want to talk to you guys something about a company we have that's one of our sponsors, All Access Management. And basically what it is, they're a business consulting firm that offers podcasts like this. They do marketing, they do promotions to help small business owners become more successful, and they get a better ROI on the return. So check them out, All Access Management. They're located here in Pinellas County. I guarantee you'll save yourself a lot of headaches if you get involved with them. Jonas, you and I have been through many events in the last 4 years, especially here in Pinellas County. All right? And where do you see the rest of this year close out at? Where do you see the environment? Where do you see the economic status? Where do you see let's move forward to January 1st, 2026. What do you see our platform to be?
I do believe that by the end of the year, the concept of moving towards a digital currency will be a topic that more people are talking about openly. I believe it'll be promoted more and more between now and then, which will definitely cause volatility in the markets. I think there'll probably be a few peaks and valleys. There might be a full-on official recession. If you take the 2008 collapse. And you just take the Dow. The Dow
Right.
went from roughly 14,000 down to 6. I don't even know what we're sitting at right now, 30 something, 40 something.
I couldn't tell you. Honestly.
Yeah, so if it's gonna be a similar type of breakdown, it would probably land at someplace in the 20s. But that takes a minute. It's not like overnight it just did that. It took
Right.
a course of 5-6 months for that.
Well, that
fall
was
to
mainly
happen.
because of the housing.
Yeah,
okay?
that was-
and because a lot of people did shady deals. I mean,
Well, no, they weren't. Yeah, but it's something that could not even happen if the banks were not in control the way that the banks are in control.
Well, I think a lot of them were not in control. They were just
Because
they were in mortgage broker. They decided because they were making deals.
and what happened to them? They all got bailed out.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
You know,
that's
they
what I'm saying.
let a couple of they let Lehman Brothers go under, but Bank of America, they're getting their money, and Washington Mutual went down. You know, all these different banks went
Wells
down.
Fargo. I
Well,
mean, they all do. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, what I'm saying is that I think that's the biggest weakness link we have in society. People only live for today. They don't plan what happens 3 months from now. They don't plan for the 6 months. They don't plan for 20 years from now. And I guess what I'm saying is, I'm through Thoughts of the People, I'm trying to educate people to stop living the day-to-day world. Plan out.
You have to have a purpose.
It's more than a purpose, it's a plan.
Right. Well,
I might have a purpose
plan-
just
well,
to
the-
get up to play football, but the bottom line is, what do you want to do playing football? Do you want to win a championship, or you just want to play football?
Well, once you have the purpose, then the plan follows.
Well, I think
Because the plan leads you towards the purpose.
I give you that, but then I go, like I said, too many people don't look at the end game. Now, my plan is to play football really well. But what is my plan? My plan should be to win the Super Bowl, to win the best freaking championship tournament I could possibly get involved in, all right? And the plan, to me, is too broad. And what I'm basically leading up to is I've had staff meetings where I've talked to people now for months about setting goals, all right? And a lot of people, I feel like, okay, my goal is to lose weight, all right? Well, what does that mean? You're going to lose 5 pounds, 20 pounds, 100 pounds? When do you plan on doing it?
Right.
I'm going to do it in 20 years. I'm going to do it in a day. I'm going to do it in 6 months. People don't get specific on their goals. They don't plan ahead. They don't say, okay, on 12/15/25, I plan to be from 250 down to 220 in pounds. They go, oh, well, I'm just going to lose weight. Or I'm just going to win this. Or, and I want to encourage people because, hey, let's be honest about it. We're halfway through the year. How many people made the New Year's resolutions and actually stuck with them?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's tons of people that make those resolutions and don't follow them, and and I've been that guy many times.
We all
myself.
have. Everybody does.
I like the philosophy of do it now.
Yeah.
Do it now. Do it now. Do it now. Like if it pops in your head,
Yeah.
do it now.
Well, the problem is, I think, including myself, we're consistent being inconsistent. Okay, give you a prime example. I go, oh, okay, we're going to work out. We're going to do this. So I work out hard for 3-4 weeks, maybe a month or two. Then all of a sudden, something came up that day. Okay, the next day you go do it. Something came up, and then you look back. Oh shit, I haven't worked out in a month.
Exactly. Oh, it happens.
You know what I'm
fast.
saying?
Mhm.
And it's like, why is that? Why do us human beings want something, but really don't do it? Is it because of goals? Because I know myself, okay, at the end of the year, or like let's say the middle of December, I write shit down. I mean, I make up like a list of like as many items, like my last one was like 80 items. And this time of year, I sit back and looked at it and go, wow, I got that, didn't get that, didn't get that, didn't get that, all right? So I'm telling myself, no, I still got like 6 more months. I got to get these.
Yeah, I think
And
for everybody it's different.
It is.
Yeah, for me, I know for me, I like to set 3-month windows. I have a
Right.
3-month window. In this 3-month window, this is what I need to figure out. You know, like right now, I'm near the end of my 3-month window where I'm trying to buy a house. So I'm like, okay, I got about a month left. About 2/3 of the way through this 3-month window.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because, like I said, you and I talked a little bit about that last time. And then our sponsor, All Access Management, that's the other thing they do. You know, they ultimately help people, like we talked about, find ways to get houses. Like I said, creative financing, finding loans, be able to negotiate deals. What did you ever decide? 'Cause didn't you say you have a house?
I have a house that I'm
Right next to
I have a
okay.
house that I'm targeting, and yeah. And
When was the last time you spoke with the owner of the property?
the last time I spoke with the owner of the property was before it was even on the market.
Well, that's usually the best time if you can.
Yeah.
But I mean, where are you at now with it?
Right now, I'm waiting to do all my pre-qualifications and all that stuff, but I'm not going to do that until I get back from Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you say pre-qualification, what is that in your mind? I mean, what do you talk about getting pre-financing?
Like what I could qualify for mortgage-wise.
All right. And what are you thinking about down payment? Have you ever thought about like doing a lease option with people?
I would love to do a lease option with somebody.
I mean, I'm not saying these people are going to be suitable. They might, most people say, let me sell it and I just want my money and move on. But sometimes people are not in a financial position where they take that money and they remember, if I sell my property, all that profit I made goes to Uncle Sam. I got 30% of it goes to tax gains.
Right.
And so I try to tell people, look, if you don't want to pay that money to Uncle Sam, you got two choices. You can either do a different type of finance where you hold paper, all right, and you get a little bit each month, all right, and that way if the people just bail out, you collected it, they're paying your mortgage payment out, they're paying for the repairs, they're paying for everything. But you're like the bank. Or what you can ultimately do is freaking flip it into another house by having a 1301. You know, you buy this property with the intention, or you sell this property with the intentions of ultimately going and buying another property. But most people really are not investors. They just want to sell it and they've already got a house. But, if you're going to buy a house for a bigger house, that would work.
Right.
That would clarify for the 1301.
Right.
So, but, I mean, those are one of the things, like I said, All Access Management can assist you with and help you out and give you advice on that. And like I said, basically, for the foster the people that do listen to us and get involved with us, I encourage them that everybody should find a way to buy a house. And I'll tell you another thing. I have been seeing more and more houses going down and down and down, which is sort of a scary thing, okay? Because that means the house has been on the market for a long time. That means that us property owners' values are decreasing, all right? Which could, I'm not going to say it will, but could lead to recession. All right, but we're hoping that when Trump's in office now, we hope that eventually he's going to be able to reduce the interest rates down at least 1 point. If it's anything to 1 point, it's not going to put a really big of an impact. But for you people that foster the people, you got to really focus in on, like I've talked about, creating an asset. And the first asset would be is your house. Because you need a place to live. You'll see a lot of those billionaire gurus that are, that's the most stupidest thing to do.
You should start with a quad.
No. But it's more like they'll say, no, don't buy. Don't buy. Rent.
Oh, I've heard that
Because you won't have to pay for insurance. You won't have to pay for taxes. But you know something? You're going to live there for 15, 20 years.
Right.
You're going to have nothing to show for it.
Right. No, it's ridiculous.
You know?
It's over leveraging.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, I believe there's a lot of people out there that just got themselves in debt, billions of dollars, But hey, most corporations are nowadays.
Well, no, it's all functioning on debt. That's the thing is, it's like we can keep pumping up this debt bubble, or we can kind of rein it in ourselves by saying, okay, we're done playing the game.
Really?
We really can.
Well, I mean, let's be honest about it. Debt is what makes people more powerful, in a sense.
Absolutely. The issuance of debt is what makes is ultimate power. It's I don't know why this phrase popped in my head, because it's something that I've always thought and I've always shared with people, is the greatest power that any entity on this earth can have is the ability to create currency. And we have allowed that power to be centralized in one hub, and they have the power to contract and expand the money supply whenever and however they want. And the way that they maintain control is by the issuance of debt so that everybody else owes them. And it all comes to the top of the pyramid.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. If you go like the Dave Ramsey people, they say debt is freaking the worst thing to get, which I respect that.
It's a deal with the devil.
But the average person is not going to be able to save up $300,000-$400,000 and go pay cash.
Well, that's because the people that issue the debt also decide what the things cost.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I honestly buy that one because hell, that's because I could say this property is worth $10 million. Doesn't mean
Based
I'm gonna
upon
get it.
what I'm willing to loan you.
Well, true. But like I said, to me, the average person, okay, like I said, I've seen houses out there that need a little bit of rehab. I could get in for like $250, which I haven't seen that in a long, long time, all right? The average house is around $315,000 to $400,000 for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, like 1,200 square. But I'm seeing prices going down and down and down, all right? And like I said, tell me one person's got $250,000 to go put on a house. Right. The average person doesn't have that. They have to they get a 30-year note, all right, and they do it. It'd be like you renting. I can't tell how many people rent, and they'll be in the same property for 10, 15, 20 years.
Right.
And then when they move out, what do they
got? Nothing.
They got shit.
They got nothing.
At least you have that property where I could sell it.
Right.
Or if I die off, I could give it to my kid or something.
Right.
You know, to me, you're just throwing that money away, throwing that money away.
Absolutely.
You know? All right, Jonas, let's wrap it up here, man. What can you say to foster the people that would encourage them to take this next week and do something different that they haven't done?
Watch the news with discerning eyes is the thing I want you to do this week. Do not take any of it at face value and read between the lines.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm going to say something to you. Don't even look at the news. Don't even care about the news. Sort of like stay in your own bubble and think about what you're going to do to make yourself better for next week when you see this podcast. In other words, maybe get yourself a new job. Maybe get yourself a new car. Maybe put an extra $1,000 in your savings account. Do something that's going to be better. Don't worry about the news. The news is always going to be there. It's always going to be the negative Nancy's out there. You know, create something that's going to build your self-worth. And we can't determine that. Well, guys, hey, I just want to say, Jonas, thank you very much. Everybody, thank you very much for watching this episode of Foster the People. Remember, subscribe, like, check us out again on the next Foster the People podcast. We'll see you again real soon, guys.